Hey, what is up, y'all? My name is Roman, and today we are talking about the Rain City Skills Punk. Check that guy out. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a 5A beast, and I am excited to talk about it. If you didn't know, this yo-yo is in collaboration with Jeff Anderson. Who is Jeff Anderson? Well, he's a 5A player who's made quite a name for himself when it comes to dyeing different products with yo-yo companies like Rain City Skills. Not just yo-yos, but Beglery and counterweights, and I'm sure a lot of other things. I actually have two yo-yos here that are Yo-Yo Factory wedges, the Delrin version. He dyed these back in the day. I bought these from him, I think in 2019, and they are absolutely beautiful. So this just gives you an idea of how good he was at dyeing back then, and he's even more insane now. Sorry, there's cat hair on everything. Let me get a thumbs up for cat dads and cat moms out there. So yeah, just really cool examples of his dyeing work. Now, when it comes to the Punk, let's talk about the specs. The weight is 63.1 grams, which is right up my alley, as you guys know. The width is 49.1 and a diameter of 57.6. It's made out of Delrin, has two spacers, one on each side. C bearing, the bearing that came with it has a groove in the middle. Standard 19 millimeter pads, and the design has a kind of chunky rim with flared out kind of gaps here, and also with the cup it's very flared. The spikes on the inside are really good for matadoring pull starts. If you have big enough hands, you're able to do that. If you land this yo-yo on a finger spin right on that little matador spike, you will be in great shape. If not, you can still do a finger spin. It just kind of moves around the finger a little bit. So just something to keep in mind. I played this yo-yo with 1A for just a couple throws before slinging it up for 5A, and it is a blast when it comes to 5A. It does come with a counterweight called the Fluff Ball. Didn't even use it, only because I love Chunkies. Chunkies is great. But the weight of that counterweight was 7.5 grams. I use counterweights that are heavier. I usually like to be in the about 10 gram weight area. So I started with a Chunkies tire and two beads, as you can see there. Eventually I moved over to the Baya, which is brand new, next gen Chunkies, and two beads here. Now the counterweight, the fluff ball that it came with, it is spiky. They say it's used as decoration. I'm sure you can use it, but you know, I like things that don't hurt so much. So this little like berry of goodness is just perfect for me. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about this design too. So Jeff mentioned in the description of this that the flared out kind of look here is meant so that it's easier to mask when it comes to dyeing, which I guess will make it more accessible when it comes to really getting detailed dyes, specifically where you want it. It's going to help out a lot. And so before we move on to the play, I want to compare this yo-yo to a couple other things. I guess we can start with the wedge. If you have one of these, there's a good look at the gap width difference there and diameter. Overall, pretty big yo-yo. Gap is much wider on this, which I really like, and the rims are not as beefy as this, but this is massively stable. So another option to look at if you have a Thesis Serenade. Yeah, much different design, kind of similar in some ways, but you can see the gap is actually bigger here, which is really, like I said, great for 5A. The cups are very similar. It's almost like this is more of an inverted kind of place here, so this is really good for finger spins as well, whereas this is more for pull starts and things in that regard. So the last yo-yo here is a mono metal that reminded me of Punk, which is the Throwing Sideways Beanie. Again, I'm just grabbing stuff that reminds me of things when it comes to the Punk, and this one plays similar to this in a lot of ways. Kind of see the gap there, very similar. And yeah, that's it for the review or the overview in comparison. So let's talk about the play. Well, the play is great. The play has a lot of stability, a lot of spin time. Tricks I was really aiming for during the shooting of this video was easy. It was this yo-yo lends itself to 5A, and it's created for 5A, and it will excel in both 1A and 5A, but I've only played it in 5A for the most part, and I'm loving it. The stability allows me to have multiple string reps without any problem. I don't do a lot of that, but it is there when needed, and the rims of the yo-yo do provide a lot of spin time, so I never really found that it was dying before I was ready to bring the yo-yo back up in a bind. The binds were really good. Now, we'll say that the bearings and the pads in this yo-yo were not up to my specs when I received the yo-yo. Bearing was a little bit mucked up, and then the pads were brand new, but were actually kind of slippy. So replaced them, and now we are good to go. Overall, this yo-yo is super fun. I can't recommend it enough. I think that if you are going to try to dye a yo-yo, this would be a great one. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you haven't already, please check out Chunky's Creative 5A Counterweights. Lots of new stuff has dropped in May, and the Baya is one of my favorites from the newest drop. Just saying. My name is Roman. I hope to see you guys soon, and thanks again for being here. We'll talk later.